deal with trying to the authority who deal with trying to remove these people from the waterway have to hire a big crane and lift all the offending boats out of the water. And the guy in charge, after I sent him a prodding email at the weekend saying, sort of politely, "Are you getting on with this one? Or is this going to be some further legal thing that you're actually your failure to deal with this is causing me enormous problems?" Uh, so he got an email like saying, "Sorry about it. Yes, we're getting on with it. And what I'm waiting for at the moment," he says, "is the police to tell me when the enormous crane can have a police escort to drive into London to go
Wow.
and pick up all the boats out of the water and then cart them off."
So they do what they do here, and like when they could either boot your car, put the boot on your car, or or they
The
uh,
tow truck
or they
guy,
tow
the
your
tow
car. So
truck.
they're going to tow truck the boat.
Yeah, you got it. But they got to get it out of the water onto the tow truck.
Oh my goodness, that is crazy. And that's
Yeah.
got to be expensive for the people trying to get their boats
Yeah.
back.
Well, I don't think they ever get their boats back once that has happened, because if you can just imagine the cost of the craneage and the lifting it out of the water, it would be much cheaper to just buy another boat, register it in someone else's name, and moor it up in the same spot.
Do you feel, I feel that way. I found guys that did that with Uber. That it's like that was not my Uber driver. They had a photo and that was not my Uber driver. What is your view? That is sort of right there. What is your view on Uber? I mean on like that do you care if your wife decides to take Uber
Um,
or do y'all not?
It's a
I realize that's
necessity, and yeah, because Uber are independent contractors, obviously you don't know if someone else is taking the place of the independent contractor that day.
yeah.
So, the serial rapist has his chance, he can.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's
But my wife doesn't take Uber very much. She normally drives everywhere she possibly can. And that deals with that one. So,
true. Well, so when do you know? Are they going to let you know when they tow the boats? When they pull the boat? Ooh, then they
uh,
could impound. And then there's a big sale, I would think. They,
yeah, so, yeah, I hopefully we'll be in contact. Fingers crossed they're on the job and we'll know exactly when that's happening. So I can also cut some locks onto my property if they want a bit of land access onto what's my own land and not some other dodgy character doing it there. See, I can reclaim my own land in the morning, and sometime after I've left mid-morning, dodgy Carol's come back and cut my locks off the property. And when I call the police, they say they're too busy to do anything about it and sort it out yourself.
so that is so have you actually laid eyes on the guys that are doing that?
Yeah, I photographed them. They photographed me.
They photograph me.
Yeah, films and video, and I never know when walking to work whether some not very nice person will come up behind me and try and remove me from the ecosystem.
Wow. Wow.
So if I did disappear rather strangely one day, you'll know what happened.
I will know what happened. You've been peaky blindered. How far is Birmingham from you, by the way?
Uh, well, in terms of England, it's 3 hours and 100 miles away.
Oh, wow.
So not far. In terms of Texas, I mean that's literally just around the block for you guys.
No, that's true. That's true. Anyway, it's all relative. It's just all
It's
relative.
all in which context? A couple of nights ago, I was having a chat with our friend, experienced architect girl, and she said, "Let me introduce you to someone in our world who's into sort of technical things and technology of primitive kind of worlds." And I said, "Yeah, yeah, we'll sort of share images on this." And I was just showing him a lot of the images of the aeroplanes you go around in. And one of the things he was saying is they go really slowly. Now, for us, it's like 600 miles an hour going through, you're near the speed of sound. They go, no, oh, that's really slow. That'll take you a long time to get anywhere and sitting in the back of one of those aircraft.
So it's sort of like how we used to drive we used to take boats and yeah, and whatchamacallits, horse-drawn buggies places. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy. So do they just do the warp where they can like jump from here to there?
I think they have friends who warp their way around. The technology seems to be known to them. It's like they know lots of other alien species. And another thing, just to mention again, I think I mentioned before, these guys walk short distances. Um, but if you wanted to go up to your bedroom in their habitat, their house, actually, I should just take you there in a little while and just show you what it's like. That would be the best. But anyway, if you can imagine like a beehive, with all the little coat, they often have rooms up there. And they've done away with stairs to a large extent. You just have something like a dinner service tray or something like that. You'd stand on your little tray, like a sort of equivalent of a little hoverboard out of Back to the Future,
Yeah.
and it will just take you to where you want within the building.
How does it work?
Uh,
What's the
you,
propulsion on
you
that?
you tell it where you want it to go, and it's got enough safety systems on it, you'd never fall off it.
But how does it move? They tell you?
Oh, it levitates. I do not understand the technology quite yet, and I'm an engineer, and I go, this uses technical systems I'm not familiar with. I'm trying to learn about them bit by bit, but it's very otherworldly.
So when I was little, I remember looking at magnets and how, you flip them over and they do this, or you flip them over
Yeah,
and they have that pillow,
yes, yes,
you know? And I remember thinking, why couldn't we put those in the ground and just hover above it? And and
yes,
and I don't know what the propulsion would be if because somehow I think you could harness the magnetic. Like it could pull you or, pull you.
yes,
You know how your muscles, they don't push, they just pull? It would be that same tech,
yeah.
that same, like it would just pull you around. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I was little. I don't know how that works.
Well,
But there's so many
I
different.
pl I played with the same magnets.
You really? Yeah.
Boing, boing.
It's like they'd slip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something there. But I'm always so that night that we were at my house and we were at my house and that night that I had the New York Times person and the quantum physicist and the government person. The scientist had worked on a project with apparently a known person that really looks into all of this. And it was fun to listen to these two guys argue about propulsion. And it's like, well, so and so says this. He's like, no, I worked with him. He doesn't say that. He may say that publicly, but he doesn't believe that. But it was fun to listen to them talk about it, because you have the taco theory where it's a burrito and you wrap time. Actually, funny you bring that up, and I have my pad. I was asking Charles last night. I said, if an ET, like if somebody from somewhere else, if a being not from here wanted to reach me, there is the one, and I'm trying to figure this out. And I realize I'm all over the place. I'm trying to ground. I had some crazy dreams last night, that involved huge craft that kind of crash landed and anyway, I have to tell you about that. But going back, so I asked Charles, I said, so it seems like there is the one that is in my reality that could just get here, like flying, like you if you flew over to see me. And then there's the one that's outside of our time construct. And not only do they have to find the where, they have to find the when, right?
The slot. Yes.
Yeah.
And this is something, by the way, I do find with experienced architect girl, uh, I would sort of link into various occasions. And she experiences it more like one conversation with very briefest of interruptions inserted into it. So it's like she, in what would be in our time, would be 1 hour, would maybe have had 20 interactions with me. And for me, that might be 20 different days.
Oh, wow.
And what's happening is that I found when we go down to our low level, we seem to be generating time and distance.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
So the distance our universe is spread out is also a function of the time across the time it takes us to move between these distances. And they seem to be one thing, but I haven't quite got the formula like E equal mc squared or something, which is Einstein's for uh, matter
Relativity.
is actually energy.
Okay.
That's what it is. When they say E, that's energy equals the amount of matter multiplied by the speed of light, multiplied again by the speed of light.
Hmm.
So the speed of light is a huge number, so a very small amount of matter uh, is, of course, a very large amount of energy. So if I can just do this again, because I think I did this before, here is the tip of my graphite writing stick.
Hmm. Graphite writing stick. Yes. I see your graphite writing stick. Continue,
There we
please.
go. Still works.
Still works.
Good technology. Well, that is about zero point 0.7 of a gram. And if you think of the Hiroshima explosion that wiped out a whole city, that was about zero point 0.7 of a gram of matter converting to energy. Yeah, so that shows you. So if you just remember in the Kerry body, which would weigh a lot more than zero point 0.7 of a gram, and I don't want to get into calculations, but what did it say? There's enough energy there if it was all converted back to energy, uh, where Texas is now would become Lake Texas, which would probably be an inland sea of some sort, or the Gulf of Texas.
Yes.
The the whole of Tex it would literally just blow a huge hole in the ground. It would become a sea like the Great Lakes of North America, further up north near Canada.
But let me
You'd end
ask you,
up,
can I ask you something real quick? Can I stop you there? If how do we get that much energy in that small of a space, in that small of a point?
well, what's going on is if we go back to this uh, energy equals matter times the speed of light times the speed of light. If you slow everything down like twice, speed of light divided by speed of light divided by again, you end up with a very small amount of matter that's not really moving around, but now contains a huge amount of energy.
Okay,
So you are experiencing matter that's been slowed down to appear solid.
I see.
You sort of see the words follow. You still don't quite understand what's happened, but
Well, how what I
it,
do is I look at it. I'm looking at it in my mind. I don't, I'm not trying to get the formula. I'm trying to see like what I'm seeing when you say that is I'm trying to see everything standing still and
mm,
how we're able to go down to that tiny of a level, like on a
mm,
molecular, I'm like in a, and
yeah,
how they're able to harness that in a
yeah,
way that we could then take that and do something with it. I mean, because it sounds like you're not just using matter, you're using, I guess the process is using time, right? And to slow things down. So that's the whole process. So
yes.
okay, I'm getting it. Okay, keep
And
going.
so the practical effect is, uh, for someone, for experienced architect girl, she can link into me or she can link into us and have conversations, and she can do strings of conversations in one session. Whereas for us, weeks pass.
Hmm.
So she can just link it. And in the meantime, we generate a whole load of illusory time in the middle.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing. And that's similarly why when you come back out of it and time collapses back in on yourself, all the moments you've been experiencing collapse back into one, and they say your whole life flashes before you.
Okay. Yeah. So I was telling somebody yesterday, day before, I don't remember time, relative. No, I'm kidding. I was telling somebody that I was how I asked a question about, like why my grandfather, I know we talked about this, like why he didn't know my hair was the way it was if he was always around me, and how, and I didn't hear back. I didn't get the answer back for 2 years. And then they gave me the
Uh,
answer. And I was like, well, that was timely. And I know for them, they answered it right then. So
yes.
is it that we go get it? Like what triggers that 2 years later for us?
Well, we're generating a lot more moments in between.
Right?
So in the case of the grandfather one, there's sometimes when it's helpful to know things. And I notice there are periods go on, we don't discover everything all in one day. We get fed in little packets of information, and then there's gaps in between.
But I also think it's sort of like my cabinet with that pyramid with an eye. Clearly, it's always been there. I mean, it's always been there. I just didn't see it. It's like I had to see it,
Yeah.
right?
Well, also, what you've got to realize is the version of you that's coming through changes. The light being of no substance keeps altering. And I was looking at another weird phenomenon, and we'll try and show you some of this on you so you can confirm it. Uh, I, if I look back at memories of early David, I can remember stuff back into little childhood and toys and doing things with parents, all sorts of stuff back to quite a young age. I can remember probably from when I was sort of 3 or 4 years old, that kind of age. I can recover memories from back then. And tease my mother about it when she was alive because I could tell her all the things that happened. So, so I do that kind of thing. But then when I look back from a higher perspective as who did that, it's like the light being now wasn't really there. It was like another bit of light being that went and did it. It was like someone else had those experiences, and now we've piggybacked on all of those memories.
Okay. I didn't tell you what I did last week, did I? About going to my childhood home?
No,
I
there
didn't do that.
was not much opportunity to convey that last
We,
week.
we did not discuss this. And this is, I think this is why they're bringing it up, and I'm going to send this to you because this is really interesting. This will. But I didn't bring my glasses. So I went back. I haven't. I've been back one time since 1987,
Okay.
and it was the house that I really grew up in. I mean, for those formative childhood years, and it was. Hold on, this is interesting. And so I went. I wanted to do a show, and I wanted to get kind of a little bit of footage, and I also wanted to go and see if I could see, like in my mind, I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing this fella down standing by the garage. Well, I wanted to see if that really lined up. I mean, because I realize I'm viewing all of this as a child, from a child's
Yes.
perspective, not from my current adult perspective. And so I was there, and it did line up, by the way. I was there. Okay, I'm missing you this. Take a look at this. Um, so I was there.
There we go. Image.
Technology, right? Am I right?
That looks like two pictures in one.
It is. It is. But
Okay.
this is the way I see. And so, and it was kind of an interesting, I was playing with the idea that me now is looking at me then. And I think I was 6 or 7 years old here. But but basically so I looked up the house to see who owned it, and I was ready to say, can I come in and take a photo, or just maybe in the back? And nobody lives in the house. A rental company owns the house. Somebody had just moved out the week before, and the house was ready. And I didn't even have
Wow.
to meet with a realtor. They had a bot, not a lockbox, but they had a code thing that they could let me in and give
Wow.
me a code. I was there for an hour and a half, and I just everywhere I looked, I saw a memory. And for me, that feels like I'm going back in time because I don't remember things. And so I think that's why you're bringing, ooh, I keep hitting my head. I think that's why you're bringing that up so this idea, I want to play, and you and I've played with this before. I want to play with whether or not I can actually go back. Because in my mind, like here, like in that photo I just sent, I am looking at this little girl.
Yeah.
And I very distinctly remember this memory when I was a little girl. I was like 5 or 6, and I took dance, and I was we were stretching. I probably told you that because I always do that because I was stretching and I couldn't reach my toes. And I remember thinking as I'm stretching, I wonder if my 29-year-old self is here. And so I but that goes back like I don't want to deal with ghosts. I don't want to deal with all that stuff.
Well, you see that the bizarre thought of an older version of you coming in and going, "Oh, I wonder if I can say hello to the younger version of me. I wonder if I can get it to notice." So you drop the energy into the body.
So that is that time idea and this and I was asking a friend yesterday about like that whole ship conversation about if you replace all the planks, is it a different ship? And I'm really intrigued with this. I'm really intrigued with this time hopping. And you and I've done it before. We've gone to other realities, but I don't think we've gone to this reality that age. Like you and I go back to our first show we did, and look on and see and that's possible, isn't it?
But we can help you do this, but I also just need to think, because you mentioned 59 minutes, and some minutes have now elapsed. They They gave me the form of words about 10 minutes later on that one. It took 10 minutes delay before I got it. And they said, what were you hoping to find so we can show you where it's stored? What you do with it next is another matter, but what is it you're hoping to find?
In going back to the house.
Well, in any of these maneuvers, in going back, what is it you're hoping to find? You're like hunting round for bits and pieces, rather like someone rummaging through a drawer trying to find a particular spoon or something like that.
I love that imagery. I I'm letting go of what I think I'm supposed to do, and I've been trying, and oh my God, I'm so bored with myself.
Oh,
But I do.
well, that's a tricky. Your misunderstanding of what you're supposed to do is just that. You're misunderstanding. There would be an intention to go and do things in this world, to drop into it and have various adventures. So if you can take the notion of supposed to do out of it, that would help everyone. Now and again, there are things that are going to be useful for us to do, and we're encouraged to do them. And we joked to you before, we showed you stuff, the relationship with the kids, how we brought you back into state where you could realize you were their buddy just coming in ahead of them to make sure that they would have the next in line of vehicles.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's not really a supposed to do anymore. That is helping your friends out. That's helping your friends come into this world.
I see. Well, I think when I say supposed to, it's what I'd had this idea at at the end of Joyride showed like this is what I want to do when I have the bandwidth, when I have the time, when I have,
Mm.
like I always envision something and then it's trying to implement that. And that I'm letting go of. And last night I was just writing and it's like, what interests me? Like instead of following a memory or following an idea from 5, 10 years ago, what if instead I just followed what I'm really interested in? Because there's a reason, um, there's a
Well, that's
reason.
good. What, because you're able to say some of what you're interested in. Um, But around the core of it is you're actually wanting to say you want to warp this reality a bit. You want to play with it a bit. That's where you're trying to get to, but you're almost afraid to ask the question. And there's also a nervousness about breaking the whole thing because you don't want to completely kill the whole reality because it's not that bad. So you were actually on a hunt for the ability to do that, and a bit like the question that took 2 years to arrive
Yeah.
with its answer. Uh, you're actually preparing your body to be able to handle the energies that come in with the answer of how to warp your reality more.
You think so?
Yep. Well, you see, if we're down on Earth merely trying to solve the last problem, we're not really designing a better reality. We're just trying to make it more comfortable for us.
You're fluffing the pillows.
Yeah, exactly. You're fluffing the pillows. You're not redesigning the bedroom
Right.
because
Well,
you don't know how to redesign the bedroom significantly better. That's the issue.
bingo. And the idea is what I was writing is that I mean, so for me, understanding the reality and how we create our reality, it goes, and you were asking me what spoon I'm looking for. And it goes back to, for me, viewing a reality based on what I know, whether it's this life or a different life, and getting hung up in spots. I think we get hung up in spots. And I think it's sort of like you have to, if there's a kink in the hose or if there's a blockage in the line in the sewer line, you have to go figure out where that is and and
Yeah.
flick it out. And so,
Well, there's another one because we'll be wandering around doing our day and suddenly a memory of something we messed up on 20 or 30 years ago will come on and go, did I do that? Oh no. Weirdly enough, since then, you'd never do the same thing again. You'd handle it completely differently. But you pick up this memory of messing something up or getting stuck in a same situation. And then you're wanting to say, oh, can I repeat that? Can I go back in again and do it slightly differently? Yet you probably already have on many occasions.
oh, that's such a great point to make. It's just that you're aware of it. So you're aware of it again from that perspective of that, who you were in that moment.
Yeah.
And so, but who you are now has already redone that 15 times. That's actually huge. To realize that is actually huge
Hmm.
because people often get stuck in these loops of, you know, I hate green peas. I hate green peas. Well, you just ate 15 of them. I mean, you didn't realize you just ate 15 of them. You don't hate green peas. You just think you hate green peas. This is the
Yeah.
reason they always say don't say, "Oh, she's weird," or I like her or I don't like her, because you freeze them in that moment. You know, it's a weird
Now,
segue.
it's the next one. I'm getting the translation as you was explaining peas, listening to peas, and getting the translation done. Is it Christmas theme is quite fun because my daughter keeps me up to speed. She watches all the Christmas movies at this time of year non-stop, and there's many a Christmas movie to see. And the general theme of it uh, is a couple of things. There's a small theme of women trying to find love, the single girl or the divorced woman or something like that, trying to find a new partner, and eventually does. Then the more common uh, theme is problems getting the Christmas decorations all ready and a kind of nightmare of trying to get Christmas decorations, turkey, everything things you have a perfect time. That's a pretty common one. And the biggest one is something going wrong with the delivery of presents.
Yeah.
Problems for Father Christmas, Santa Claus having trouble, break deer at the reindeer workshop or something like that. And they're really not getting the present. And they're also saying people have to believe in Father Christmas for the presents to get delivered on time and put the right energy in. I think that's a strange paradox about the message that's being given. Because I just say about it. You have to believe in Father Christmas and all the present stuff will get sorted out. Yet adults this time of year put huge resources into going shopping and trying to get the right gift.
Yeah.
And the message of these Christmas films are if you have the right belief system, you wouldn't have to, and someone would drop in via the central heating furnace or whatever you use now, and,
Central heating for
and go and sort out the entire Christmas shopping thing if you had the right belief system. Tell me about this. What is that right belief system that they're therefore suggesting in these films?
Well, it's finding the magic. It's going back to a childlike wonder and magic. It's like it's finding that love. It's getting out of the material world and getting back into your heart.
Mm.
I mean, that's what
So
I think. It's remembering.
So what so what we're throwing the Kerry character is as a question. If she's playing with stuff, what would she need to believe in order to have access to some of this magic?
That's a great question. I'm trying to answer it not just with a
If you
need.
think of this, um, there are, when I was chatting to some of our alien friends about moving around the place, there were broadly two versions of it that moved up. There's the localized reality you've created around you, like created a lovely little world around you. And then you can move around in your localized reality. And if you use our technology, use a horse or maybe an aeroplane relatively slow, if you use their technology, you can move really quickly around that reality. Or you can change your reality to a completely different one. And that's, for example, what UFO spaceships are quite good for. A nice little capsule where you can move from one reality to another. And that's why they disappear or appear on the radar rather mysteriously because they're moving their reality around. They're changing what they're putting out around them.
Mhm. Well, and as you said that, I got this idea that, but so, and I don't know if this is important at all, but for my reality, from my perspective, it is, let's say Bob, an alien, and they pop in, they pop out, they're shifting realities, but from their perspective, I would assume their reality is constant, just like mine's constant, and they're popping
Yes.
in. So it's just we're doing the exact same thing, just it all goes back to the perspective of the person, that's where you had said earlier about the spoons, and I will answer your question, by the way, but and looking for something, it is the defining perspective. I mean, do I need to start in my head? I'm saying, do I need to start there? It's like, why do people have the perspectives they have? And usually they're based, usually, and this may not be true, but in my experience, it's been more from negative things than positive things, you know,
Mhm.
because in our reality, for some reason, it's so easy
Yes, this is good. Our fear-based system. This is
Mhm.
so right. We're using a fear-based inspiration for getting stuff done.
Right, right. You're not enough. If you don't do this, this isn't going to happen, so on and so forth. But then you could be all things like if you're an actor and you just won an Academy Award 3 years later, it's always yours to lose. I mean, even when the good things
Yes,
happen. So it's easier to believe the bad things because I'm comfortable there. You know,
yes,
it's easier to believe the fear because the fear is going to keep me safe. And I think there
yes.
is a reason for fear.
So, so we are having a chat about what you're choosing to get your body to believe. Because up till now, you found beliefs have mostly been dumped upon you,
Yeah,
or circumstances have applied them. Something happens, and then you end up with a belief. And
right.
then we operate within the confines of that belief to a large extent. It's like almost like a safe zone. If you walk beyond that, you'll just fall over the edge.
There are movies about that where don't go beyond. We don't know what the beyond is, and there's nothing. I mean, it's a whole other world beyond. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
This will keep you safe. Yeah.
yes. And if you watch Netflix, they brought out the latest part of Stranger Things, which
I
is
haven't
there's
seen it
another
yet.
world there, but it's full of scary things that want to eat you.
Yes, exactly. on the other side of this dimension. Yeah.
Yeah, there is another dimension, but just you don't really want to go there, and you want to try and lock it out as far as possible. And only a fool would open a doorway to that dimension.
See, my mind immediately goes to, but then what? Because they've said that there are some other beings that look so scary that we would,
Mm,
we would never sleep again. But the reality is they just look scary. That's
mm,
it. They're not.
yes.
They're not.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
okay. So,
yeah. And I mean,
but you asked me,
also,
what would
yeah,
I need to believe, or
yeah,
what
yeah.
is Carrie character?
Yeah, and if you just think about it, it's only set in the 1980s when Donald Trump was a young guy. If they just reset it in the sort of 2020s, Donald Trump would now have somewhere to send all the immigrants he didn't like. Whole new frontier. You want to be an American? You go down there.
I was talking to a girlfriend yesterday and she owns restaurants and she was saying that they're picking people up. They're going to car washes, they're going to laundromats 5:30 in the morning. Yeah, because the illegal criminals are doing laundry at 5:30 in the morning before they go to their three jobs. But
Yeah,
they're just taking people. They're just taking them.
yeah,
Anyway, okay. I don't I'm gonna get off that. But
yeah.
okay, but okay, so we've determined that fear is a very safe, we're conditioned to think that it's a very safe place. And you had asked me a question, what does Carrie need to believe to move on, to get to that next level?
Well, uh, okay. The the body sees it as moving on. The body says, "I'm afraid I'm not in a great place, and I'd like to move on." Well, it's kind of half got the idea there. It's not really got the idea that uh, fear can actually be quite a nice fuel in the whole system.
Mhm.
But we also need the idea of what it is you'd like to create, because fear can carry you away from your anxieties to a certain extent. We'll all try and get away from our fears, but a bit like the magnets, once they've got a certain distance apart, that fear energy runs out of fuel, and then you don't know what you want to do next.
Mm. It's true.
And
It's
then you end up in the doldrums, which is actually a place on Earth. It's a joint between the two oceans. And what happens is the climatic system in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere kind of do their own things to a large extent, and they don't mix a lot. So there's not a lot of wind where you get to the equator.
okay.
And weirdly enough, if you go up high, it's really cold. One of the coldest places on the planet is the upper atmosphere over the equator.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
there you go.
Cool.
And if you fly a plane up there, watch out you don't have some vital instrument freeze over and end up having a horrible accident, as has occasionally happened. So flying across the equator can be a bit dodgy. Uh, but if you're going on a boat, you can run out of wind, and it's called the dondromes. And say, for example, people who would have been harpooning whales in order to boil down the fat and sell it as lamp oil in North America before they found oil in Texas and California. They'd go down to the South Atlantic, harpoon their whales, and then you have to get the ship back. And sometimes there's so little wind, they'd have to get into their rowboats and row a big sailing ship via a small rowboat, tug it across to get it through the doldrums. There was literally nothing else to do.
What's interesting about that is that you would think where the two things meet, there would be a lot of wind.
And yet there wasn't. And that's the same thing we find when we move away from our fear-based system.
Okay.
And that's where you're learning to operate in an energy of what would you like to do
Okay.
and get that to pick you up on the other side. So it starts to pull you in a better direction.
Yes. Bingo. Bingo. Yes.
There. There you go. And you now done it in the climatic doldrums. So there you go.
I used to always call that heaving to. So in a boat,
Yeah.
actually, what you said is perfect because heaving to is when you put like the jib one way and the main sail the other way, and it can be chaotic around you, but it stabilizes. But
But
that's
if you run out of wind and they just come, I mean, literally in the middle of the ocean there, it can go calm.
wow.
It can look like a calm lake on a frosty morning when there's no wind.
Best skiing.
There's
Yeah.
literally nothing happening. And in a modern sailing boat, sometimes sailors on races are going across it at 2 miles per hour on a modern slipstream sailing boat. So you can imagine what it's like in a not so aquadynamic old sailing ship for whaling. And then you have to get out into the little rowboats and you
And
sit
make
there
it happen. Yeah. You just have to get past
acting
that
like a
part.
tug. So you're literally dragging your ship across the doldrums.
And that's what I'm doing right now is dragging my ship across, dragging my vessel across the doldrums. Come on, man, you got this. Yes, yes. And I've been looking down in the water instead of rowing. I've been looking to see what's there, looking at the clouds and, distracting myself. So, no, that makes sense. I like that. I like that idea because it gives me back the power. It gives me back the context, not
Now,
just
I can feel you when you said power. You're starting to feel your energy system more.
Mhm.
So this simple observation, the thing for you guys, as soon as you start to go into energetic flow, what are all the other things you start to do as well? It's not only do you start to energetic flow, but it's a bit like putting the electricity into a big piece of machinery or something. A lot of lights start coming on, mechanisms beginning to work. As
Yeah.
soon as you go back into flow, what happens? Describe it.
It's things start lighting up again. It's like it's we gotta go, Fred. Go for launch, finally.
Yeah.
And it's like things are starting to turn on.
Okay, what's turning on? And perhaps you could even help it turn on more if you paid attention.
We did this last time. It is what's turning on ideas, energy. It's really energy because when I'm in
Yes.
the doldrum, I don't have energy. I really don't have
Yes.
energy.
Mhm.
And so it's like no, I have energy like I have wind behind me going, come on,
Mhm.
let's do this.
I I would say jokingly, by the way, there's nothing more annoying in this world than a helpful person who sees you've got a problem and they tell you what you need to do, but they do not overcome the actuality that you're in an energy of not wanting to do that thing at that moment. So they tell you what you need to
Yes.
do, give you all the information you've got now, and then look perplexed as to why you haven't immediately acted upon it, because in that moment you've no energy to do that thing.
Yeah.
So it's completely useless information. It's like some of these self-help books. You can open them, they're full of good tips, but if you're not energized to do them, I mean, you, you might as well use them for propping up the table in the room that's got the uneven floor and the table's got a little wobble. You'd stick that book under the bottom corner. That's what it'd be useful for.
Well, but sometimes you're ready when you reach for the book, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, I guess
So,
the idea.
and now when I've mentioned that, I've stalled our energy systems. Can you feel what I mean by I've stalled
Yeah.
our energy
Feels
systems?
staler.
Okay,
Okay.
and when you restart it, describe again what switches on.
For me, it's the ideas. Like all of a sudden, I start getting ideas. Not ideas of, ooh, one day I could blank. It is more of a, ooh, we need to write that letter. Ooh, we need to send that email. Ooh, we need to tell David that at the end of this, we need to introduce what we're doing because I've started chopping up this video, the different videos to put out. By the way.
Mhm.
So, but the
Yeah.
ideas, the immediate ideas start to flow.
Mhm. Okay, and it stalled again.
Yeah, just now. How'd you
Why
know?
did it stop? What do you mean, how did I know? Because I felt that bang.
You go just slam into the wall. That was good, man. That was instant. I instantly thought I was comparing that, and then I thought kids, Christmas, laundry. I mean, all at once, the thought package, kid, Christmas, laundry, trash. It's like boom, there she is. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So let's go back. I would much rather be in this other place.
We
Um,
have a tip for you.
yeah.
You get points for doing restarts. There must be something like Boy Scout camps or Girl Scout camps or whatever they call them, where they get brownie points and little
Yes.
badges. Well, you get your marriage badge system is based on restarts.
Henri, well, I'm glad because I must have a huge belt. I have a
Yes,
double
exactly.
wraparound belt with restarts. I
Yeah.
always have great ideas.
And that's why we're completely comfortable with the whole system locking up and jamming, because apparently a lot of the interesting stuff happens during the restarts.
Ah, you know why? Because it's fresh. It's fresher. It's more current.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so you just gave reason. You just gave reason for the doldrum.
Yes.
Hmm.
So that's why you build in a system that's got that.
So this would be the equivalent of having an iPhone back in 1982.
Hmm.
You know, you have to let things catch up sometimes. I always think
Yes.
that. Oh, wait, that's how I make sense of some things. It's like, what if, really, like, what if we're just waiting for a couple of things to come in?
It's a lovely question because when you're saying immediately, David Mind's quite good at connecting bits and pieces rather randomly, which drives his poor wife mad because she said, "Oh, don't do that. You should talk about A, and I'll suddenly chuck in somehow it links to B, and she'll basically say stop doing in a roundabout language. And you can ask her someday, and she'll just say, I'm an annoying person to hang out with. You don't know what it's like. She'll
I get the
say.
same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, don't worry. So anyway, we're going here and we're linking our bits and pieces up together. And I just saw with your iPhone. So you go back to the 1980s with your iPhone and it all worked brilliantly. But I think you need a portal to do two important things. One would have someone else to phone who's got another iPhone because they don't live in the 1980s. And the second one is to connect to all the websites and your bits and pieces and apps because they're also not in the 1980s.
Right, right, right. Yeah, but
So
that makes, yeah, keep
the
talking.
only way to get fun is if you get into the 1980s and more people have iPhones, not just you. You'd have to be handing them out.
Yes, well, you wouldn't have anything to power them. You wouldn't have anything to, I mean, you could power them, but you wouldn't have anything to connect them to anybody else.
Yes.
But that was that point though, was that it was making um
So think about what we're doing. If we are in our little primitive bodies, but our friends who remember what they're up to, saying you're a more advanced being, you've dropped back into the primitive world, and you wanted to have your little iPhone in the primitive world, and then you realized on its own it's no use, you're going to have to share many iPhones with many people. That's a lot of what you're up to.
I know where you're up on. I got where you're going with that. That's part of what I'm up to is trying to connect iPhones.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're trying
Yeah,
to
that
bring
doesn't
many of them
feel
into the world.
overwhelming at all. Okay, well, here's a question. You said portals, and not always, but sometimes, I don't know, it could just be a blood thing. But as I go to sleep, it's this gold, it can be gold, orange, red, and usually purple. And it's like this pulsing and it kind of moves and it's behind my eyes. It's right here. I mean, I get the whole third eye thing, but it's not always, but it's almost like the more fervent, the more it is, it goes really fast and it does this.
Yeah.
What is that? Because it's not there all the time.
Now, you've stalled the energy system
Yeah, I know.
to say you don't know the answer to that one.
Okay, yeah, I kind of feel like it's a portal. I feel like it's some sort of thing that I go through and
Okay, come on. Do you want
and
to just restart it even a little bit more than that?
you want me to breathe?
Yeah, that was one of the things we suggest supports this activity.
Okay, fine. That helps. Oxygenation is not a bad thing. Um, yes, I think that's what that is. I think that it is um it's weird though how I can, you know how they talk about in hotels or in theaters, you have the front of the house and the back of the house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like the Carrie character is the front of the house, forward
Yes.
facing, and then the back of the house is where all the stuff is
Okay.
manufactured.
And tell us more about the back of the house in this one, the bigger version of you, because we're so often we're pushing ourselves forward, we don't. notice what's kind of behind us until what's behind us, a bit like that Netflix series, somehow becomes the upside down world, and what was behind you now becomes in front of you, and you're looking at it going, "What's that? Never seen that before. Where's that come
And it's
from?"
always been there.
It's
Yeah,
always been there. It's just you've flipped what you're looking at in some form or other.
exactly. And that's
So what are you looking at? Do you want to flow your energy system?
yeah, I can see it. It is all the mechanisms. It's where the gremlins are. It's all the mechanisms of how this works.
So
This
it is like a portal or a vortex,
uh-huh.
and you're just looking back up the vortex or the portal.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yes. You've actually said that before, but that was when I could see the gold out in front of me. But this one is behind my eyes. But you're right. And that is it is see now I'm asking why in my head. I was just asking why is it more intense at times? And what I'm hearing,
Okay, and you're slowing down the energy flow to ask the question again.
well, it's because I'm using words. But what I'm hearing is it's because like when I'm getting ready to do something, I can see it. Like it gets so frenetic almost that I can see it. Um,
Okay,
I maybe I don't know. I mean, I'd have to play with that.
it's still stalling the energy
I am.
system.
I am.
Okay,
Okay.
right. We are suggesting an innovation here of being able to speak whilst being in flow.
Oh, you like me to breathe when I talk? No, I know. Flow's not for just breathe.
More than just enough to maintain basic consciousness.
Yeah, so I don't keel
A
over.
bit of basic blood flow to the brain. You must have fainted at some point in life. You know, it's like when you're fainting, like the world closes in, you sort of black out, and
Uh-huh.
next minute you're on the floor wondering why you've got a pain that wasn't there earlier.
Yes, I have. I
So,
have.
that's basic. Now, when you're in flowing breathing, you can still talk,
Hmm.
but you need to stay in observing instead of staying in thought forms. You see, it wasn't the talking that made you stall, it was falling into a little thought form. So you started off talking about the sort of portal energy out of here. That's fine.
Hmm.
And then you dropped into a mental rebuild of it, like your childhood memories of the family home,
Yeah.
which you then went to validate. Now you're in thought forms. When you go into thought forms, you'll lock up, as we're doing now. Can you tell the difference? What's a thought form feel like?
Yes, and it's always been there. It's just I've never noticed it. And so, yes, the thought form is when you stop feel. It's like you push pause. It'd be like we're
Yes.
in a great movie and I push pause. Okay, so I'm going to explain how that's like. Keep going with the movie. I want to keep experiencing it. That's the way I see the thought forms. It's like when I stop to look at it versus just moving through it.
It's like you're stopping in order to remember it. And sometimes I'm watching a YouTube video educating me on subject or other. I think, "Oh, I have to stop this and play that back because I didn't create enough of the thought form." I must say, when we go to school, most of my school days, and probably yours by implication, was spent playing at generating thought forms because you're too bored with the slow pace of information delivery up at the front of the car. It was too boring and too slow, and some combination of the two, or some uninteresting subject, and you were playing with thought forms. So actually, you were practicing stalling your energy system for years.
That explains a lot. Yes, that does explain a lot.
They called it an education.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's true. That is very true. And I would say that I'm out there. It's like I was out there because you're right, I was bored. Yeah. So you're
Yes.
saying that I had practice. Okay. So where were we on that? I think that that's really important to really zero in on is the stalling in thought form because I would much rather be in the flow.
Yes. And here's the next thing we were saying earlier about the belief systems we're putting in. The belief systems are usually stored up in nice little thought forms all around us, like cookie jars in a kitchen. All these
Yeah.
strange belief systems. There you go.
Yeah.
I look like I'm talking to you. I'm using all these domestic analogies, spoons and drawers. Other people I'd be talking about engineering and spark plug wiring and something like that. Depending.
Great. Thank you.
Domestic.
I'm honored.
We
Yeah.
use the local language and perceptions.
You can use spark plug. I got that. I got that too. No, wow, did she get defensive, crossed her arms and everything? No, okay.
So we were
Oh,
talking about beliefs. So this
there is such a,
belief stored beside you.
yes.
Your various belief systems with their defense systems of throwing out other distractions when you get too near to them.
Say that again.
The belief systems are well defended.
Okay.
You go near them and they try and fob you off on the approach.
That's true. That's true. We do cling to our belief systems.
Hmm. Well, you say we cling,
Hmm.
or are they clinging to you?
Ooh, I always thought I clung to them. Cling, clang, clung. Is
Tell
it?
me when you're in energetic flow, what's the relationship? It might be a bit of both for after all. Let's just see.
Well, again, it's based on perspective and perception, and it's based on our belief system. It's also very much, I used to say this all the time. It's very much a defense
Hmm.
and it's a protection. A lot of our belief systems are protection. Well, when I did
Yeah,
that, that happened, you
yeah,
know.
and it's fair enough, like, it's like careful about putting your fingers into the electricity power points at home, which I could do as a small kid. They had special little round holes that child's fingers could make it in quite conveniently.
So you really worked on that, huh?
Yeah, ow, ow, it hurt quite a lot. And they also had, for any sort of child with engineering, you had light switches you could undo with your little child fingers,
Yeah.
take that off, and then slowly open and close the switch to watch the electricity arcing going on inside. I told my mother years later that's what I used to do when I was bored in the sort of room, see if you could just get some mains electricity arcing and just watch it and how it make the lights flicker and stuff like that. And my mom never told me not to dismantle the electrical switches and arc the electricity.
She never told me.
Yeah, she never mentioned it. Also, something she never mentioned, didn't understand, was don't take that little, probably the size of a coffee table in what was like the children's nursery romper room, and with a bit of string, tie it to the light fitting and haul it into the air on that little bit of string. And only to discover that the string was inadequate under tension and would snap, causing the table to land rather heavily on the ground and hit the younger brother's foot in some form, causing my mother, who was down doing the laundry below, to hear the thump followed by a child's wail, realizing that her intervention was now required to come upstairs.
How did you tie a string to a table?
I'm not sure. Listen, budding engineers might have forgotten all the details. I just remember I had it hanging by the light fitting
Oh
and
my
the
God.
string failed.
How old were you?
I don't know, 4 years old, something like that.
Yeah, you were an engineer, no question.
Okay, so it gets start early. And, my mother comes up, finds my middle brother, tears streaming down his eyes. And she asked what happens. And I didn't want to tell her because even a 4-year old knows mom will disapprove of certain things. Well, he sort of hit his hand against the table, I think. I said, I think it hurt his thumb. And my mother grabs little brother's hand and kisses his thumbs better, and brother
Oh,
stops crying. And all was well until later that day when little brother had been issued with mom regulation sort of tights that you put young boys in at that age. She took the tights off, and away with it came the big toenail of one of
oh
my
my
little
God.
brother's feet.
No.
And there was a fresh outbreak of wailing and screaming. And it turned out the leg of the table had actually landed on his toe.
Oh, you took his toenail off. Really?
Yeah, I didn't know at the time. There wasn't any immediate blood loss, so it wasn't obvious. And she was a doctor and would have spotted stuff like that.
Oh my
And can
gosh.
you imagine how installing us in a lovely but entertaining thought form?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
What's the fun we're having in that thought form? Because it is part of how they get you.
Well, it's because it's what I it you're telling a funny story and but it is encapsulated. I can feel it. Like it's a memory and it's
Yes,
like we walk into the memory. It's like a thought bubble, you know, and we
yes.
experience the thought bubble. But you're right. I mean, it is stalling, but it also gives us
And when
time
you
to kind of
restart,
reset.
what's it like?
It brought us because we were laughing, it brings us to a higher place and then we start in a higher spot.
Ah, so it's
Ah,
actually launching mechanism.
yes, 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 it is a launching mechanism.
See, you were talking about the thought forms of thing, don't get caught in them, be careful of them, they're creating boundaries.
Mhm.
And now you've gone, yeah, but they're also like launch mechanisms.
I guess that's why we watch movies and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. And then you launch and either you can get creative in that space or you're in a higher space, so you're creating from a higher space. How much of the day do you think you're in the flow? Are most people in the flow? I guess that depends on the person.
Depends on the person, depends on the day.
This is true.
And sometimes there's not much can happen for days and suddenly bang, you
And
see
there,
something.
but I love being in that flow. I mean, it really is a great space to try to live and create from. Um, yeah,
So now that you're seeing these little thought forms and beliefs can both track you and suck you in. And I need to also give you just one other story. The thing about thought form is you energize it at the start. You've brought it to life. You've energized it. And it's very much like going down the dog shelter and finding a little lost puppy down there who just wants a home as you synchronously grab the lost cat.
yeah,
To get the lost cat
yeah.
up there. Talking
Perfect.
about animals now, can't be dog. This is the next best thing.
It's the next best thing. Yes,
So lovely cat jumps up. So if you get that loving puppy and you take it home, how much will that puppy tend to bond with you afterwards?
very much so. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Is it friend? I know he spent much of his life fantasizing about Chinese martial arts fighting, where you could go to some kind of castle and capture some girl, and she'd be like the lost puppy, and really bonded to him afterwards because he'd fought his way through various traumatic events, and presumably bad people had died in the process. And he thought, rescue that girl. And to their credit, girls are often waiting for some guy to come and rescue them to some extent.
yep.
Which is why, firemen stand quite highly as sex objects, as things.
This is true.
So,
It's funny.
as the men were told to dress up one day in sexy outfits, and they go in rows of stuff, and well, a group of women too. And the women knew what to wear. They found all the fun clothes very quickly. They knew what men would like. But the men with the sexy thing, as a group, all got it wrong and dressed up in sort of rubber gimp outfits when the firemen's outfits and a few other things were just standing there neglected,
Ready to go. Well,
ready to
yeah,
go, but they didn't know what they were looking for.
but it does say, yeah, you're right. That's funny.
So we've got the equivalent challenge here. You're creating these thought forms, you're energizing them, you're energizing belief systems, and they will be there like the puppy you brought home from the shelter or the kitten you brought home from the shelter, and they will bond with you. So when we're saying, who's attached to what, you're originally saying, well, you're very attached to them, but also they've got an attachment to you because you brought them to life. Say
You
hello to a lot of the energies around you as you're appreciating this and say, who's mommy here? Who gave birth to you? And see their response.
I'll go, you did. Well, and some of them are families, some of them belong to the family.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Family shared ones. That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that is really funny. They are at the back of the house.
Okay.
Mhm.
and what would you like to see in its place?
Hmm.
And there, from this level, we don't easily know the answer. So what I was going to do was run to the restaurant and back, and then why don't we say hello to Experienced Architects Girls World, where they design such things, because there's a group of people who know a bit about how you create it.
Okay.
And if we
Okay.
hang out with them, we can start to pick up more of their understanding of how it's done.
Okay.
And a tip on the way up, they very often create worlds and games, and they can often do simplified versions of you, and they wanted to show you the cartoon version of you that's rather similar to The Simpsons.
I just saw it. Yeah, I saw it right
Yeah, yeah,
after
exactly.
you said
Yeah,
it.
they wanted to show you'll start to get bits of it already, and they say, well, we've recreated versions of you just to see how they play out. We create the characters and then let them sort of bounce off each other in their little arena.
Yeah.
I've got to run to the restroom and back, see what happens.
I'll do the same. Okay. Um,
Yeah,
um, that I was gonna
oh, that's all right.
cold outside.
No, you're leaving me at the mercy of chopping up things I bought for my lovely wife and getting them uh, prepared for her. Because I buy things for her. They're the things she said she wants, like the sort of nice fitting winter dresses and winter boots, and I buy that kind of stuff. And to be fair, I have her out buying my underwear and t-shirts, so it seems like a fair
Fair
arrangement.
trade.
It's a much better system because I hate shopping for my underwear and t-shirts. It's a real drag, but it's much more fun buying stuff for her. Buy what you're interested
That's
in.
awesome. Yeah. You're so
Yeah.
funny. You're so funny. Um,
Uh, yeah. So just fiddling about with that stuff because the challenge is always to go and give her something on the edge of what she's prepared to do.
that's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah. And sometimes you go for it, sometimes you won't. But you just keep bombarding with this stuff. There's always more possible things to do. Some of them break through.
Well, we are funny that way, and it's nice that she has you to push her, to kind of, I think that's wonderful. You're
Yeah.
invested in her growth and you guys growing together. I mean, that's what that sounds like. Like you never, I have a feeling we're from the same tribe, you know. Same thing, you turn to your husband and say, "So do you think that aliens to reach me have to go through time?" And he's like, "What?" And then you have your version of what you say, and but isn't it wonderful that we have grounding people,
Yes,
you know?
yes. We play in those energies and then we bounce up from them.
Hmm.
It's like a little trampoline.
I was gonna say a trampoline, like those little, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you felt that in that moment. So as our trampoline kicks off, uh, they I try to get the experienced architect to go because it's like up above. It's like they're coming up. They're coming back. You go up, and I think we can understand it. Up from them, it's like they'll sort of form up around us. It's rather like they're waiting for us to form up in front of them and reaching out to them.
Uh-huh.
And we realize we just have to sort of vibrationally go up a little bit. That's what it feels like to us. That's our navigation. And experienced architect girl and some of her friends trying to say hello. I often see them in a nice sort of room sometime. They've got the equivalent of sort of simple furniture they'd sit on top of. It's like a chair could actually just be a big sort of foam cube or something like that, the equivalent of that. And they just sit on top of that and they're waiting for us to show up
So you
and
know
notice.
why they go to that room? It is so it's interesting because what I see is that they don't necessarily see it the same way. It's just
Yeah,
from our perspective, if we don't have a bank with it already in the bank of the image, we're seeing it as kind of simple and plain and almost like it's built-in modular
yeah,
furniture. And I see it as well, it's not always, but kind of a sand color, kind of an off-white
yeah.
color, concrete color. And it is very simple and elegant, but it's not really what it looks like. It's what it looks like to us.
It's how we interpret it.
Mhm.
And here's the example one. You see, we assume to buy furniture like that, you'd go to the furniture store. Where does their furniture come from?
From
Because
this,
they were joking. Oh, dear.
I know I mean, what I see is that it comes from the space, that the space is living, and that it comes from the space actually.
So they're sitting on a living
Mhm.
entity.
Mhm. Is that right?
There you go. We
Yeah.
just wanted to show you. We didn't want to say they're living on this, that, the other. We wanted to help you actually just see it in your own way, because your own perspective, you'll always see things slightly differently to the way David sees it.
Mhm.
So you can imagine having a room where if you need particular types of furniture, it will literally emerge out of the floor for you.
How cool is that?
And it's self-cleaning, so you're never having to.
You have to worry about, yeah. Well, what's interesting is that I saw this thing on YouTube last night, and it was this, I think it's the most expensive hotel in the world, and it's in Utah, kind of Utah, Las Vegas, like Utah, Nevada, and it very much looks this way, but it's all concrete, but it's built into the rocks. Not the rooms, they have like yurt and tents,
Mhm.
and it's but the lines are very simple,
Yes.
very what we're talking about, very organic look.
Okay. Now, share the impression of the Nevada hotel with our friends. So it's like let them look into your thought forms,
Okay.
let them join you. Just breathe a little bit better so they can look into your thought forms and get their take on the Nevada hotel made out of concrete.
What's interesting is what I they look at it as the Flintstones, the way we see the Flintstones. That's funny.
Cool. Yeah, why are they giving you the Flintstones? So tell us, why do they see that as kind of primitive world? Because they said a few things to me, but I don't want to spoil your take on it.
Well, because it is primitive world. I mean, that's the word. That's the word. It's almost like we've gone full circle.
It it's often the thing they remind me is that in their world they use a lot of living things. So you have an outfit, you have clothes, you have something that's alive and can change color depending on your mood, solves all sorts of problems. Really helpful solution to things. The in our
oh, she's
world,
red. She's
we're
red.
going
Anyway,
we're going around on the bones of stuff. So a cotton t-shirt is a bit of leftover dead plant fibers. Okay, it's plant. If you've got not natural, a synthetic thing, that's oil, which has then been turned into polymers. So that's the old bones of animals and plants. Concrete, well, what's that? That's come from limestone and rock, the limestone being old coral that's then been reheated. So it's the old bones of a coral sea creature now turned into concrete, holding a few stones together. It gives you that concrete finish. Your timber house, what are that the bones of?
trees.
Yeah.
Wow, that's true. That's interesting. We
Go on,
do.
just tell me, just show them the environment you're living in. And just get their take on what it's like for them to look at us living in the old bone structure kind of things, clothing, buildings.
We used to literally have whale boning in our dresses. Um, what I just heard was you guys try to make it look pretty. You decorate it, you decorate the dead things, you put paint on it because I
Put
was
some
showing them my
nice
house.
things.
Yeah, kind of no wonder we stall. It's denser and trying to look out of it. It's like trying to look out of it, trying to get
Now,
out of it is tougher.
now, what's it like ex having a living building as your habitat? Start to pick that one up.
Well, you're also living in their energy. You're living in the energy of the space. It's not,
Ah,
I don't have to feed this energy. It's symbiotic.
what's the difference between a living building energy and a dead building energy?
it's so much cleaner. It cleans your energy. It it's hard to find words around it. It's like it envelops you kind of like a womb, sort of, you know? I mean, it's
It's
big
lovely.
and
Yeah.
you also don't move around as much, or maybe it comes with you. But it like how I have a pet or a pet has me, I don't know. That yeah, I hate to say like that's my pet. I mean, because I'm just as much his pet. But is ooh, okay. So you know how our phones used to be attached to the wall and really the
Yeah.
phone number was almost attached to the house and now it's
Yes.
attached to us. It's that way. It's like we're where they are. What is that? It's not that it goes around with you, but it
It's a
does.
reflection of you.
Yes. Well, our environments are too.
Now, next one, just moving on before we get lost in our environment,
Yeah.
they want to show some of their architecture because David said a bit like beehives, so you can create different sort of rooms on different levels, and you've got to see the how do they stack up rooms and things in their structures and the mechanism for moving between them.
Well, you already told me that part, so that's
I
not
know, I told you. So you've already seen some of it, but now we want you to have a better look at it.
my first my first scene that popped in was that of almost like a mud dog. So they have termite hills in Africa that are, in
Mm.
Texas, they're like a foot tall. In Africa, they're like 8 feet tall. They're huge. And it's
Hmm.
almost organic like that. It's
Yeah.
almost like a rounded structure.
Mm.
Um, I've always associated where they are as a spaceship, like living inside of a spaceship.
Mm.
And so that thought is sort of in the way. But there's something else that I've seen, and I think I'm asking them if this is related. It's a round room and you step down and there's almost like a built-in sofa. Like in the
Mm.
60s, they had those
Mm.
round sofas, but you'd have to step down and like conversation pits. And
Uh,
and then
by the
there's
way, you just show you the system that levitates them because you hadn't
okay.
quite, you looked at the things and said, ah, Dave told me about that one. You didn't look anymore. When a say one of those little levitation things, when it's going up to take you to just oversimplification, take you to your bedroom, let's call it,
Mhm.
does it stop off at the door or does it become part of the bedroom? What does it do?
No, it goes back into the floor. It's like it becomes part of the bed.
Literally goes back into the floor.
Yeah.
So with your sofa pit, what does it do when you're visiting the sofa pit? Do you have a little stairway down into it or how do you get to it?
Same thing. It just sort of it's like it becomes part of the floor. It goes down. So that means that the entire thing can piece off wherever you are. That's why you don't fall. You can't fall. You're on the
Yes.
floor.
It's simple.
I could probably fall on the floor.
You
Uh,
could probably... Okay, ask them, falling on and off them. What stops you falling off?
if you fell off, well, number one, it's almost like your feet are somehow attached to it. But if you fall off of it, the floor just meets you. I mean, you can't fall off. How does that work? Well, if it's a living organism, then it
That's
knows
looking
when.
after you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
That is really cool. Hmm.
There you go. Fun looking in on some alien. They're not all alien worlds are quite like this, but this is a nice example of something quite sophisticated that, as far as human habitats, we can understand. What's also here's the thing, temperature control. What's that like in their environment?
It is everything is calibrated to your body temperature. I mean,
Yeah,
there isn't an external. It is like a perfect temperature where it's not hot, it's not cold. It's a perfect
yeah.
temperature. So funny, my mind just immediately went to, I like it cold when I sleep because then, of course, I can have blankets, then I heat back up.
Mhm.
And they're like, you don't need that. I mean, it's the perfect temperature. Like temperature is not a thing.
And it's always the little adjustments and little thing. And tell me about their living clothing as well. What's the fun of that?
It's the same thing. It's like, it's like this world is made up of that. It's a microcosm. So you are inside of that, but that is inside that is part of the world. So
Yeah.
it's all symbiotic. It's like the like
Hmm.
it is as much the environments are as much part of the world as we are as a part of the environment, but the clothes are the same. It is it and you don't wash them, you don't because they're self
Maintaining.
maintaining. I was gonna say monitoring, but yeah, self-maintaining. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you are part of your environment.
Yeah. So
You
this is
don't
fun.
rape the world.
No,
You don't have you don't have earthquakes and hurricanes because you don't need them. There nothing's fighting against itself.
that's very good. We've got this. See, where in their world it's very stable, it's not fighting against each other. And for a bit of a laugh, then they're playing with things wherein you can have our worlds where things will start to clash and bounce off each other in interesting ways. You put them a little bit out of control. So, one of the fears if you go to the dog shelter is you don't know what kind of dog or animal you're going to bring home.
Right.
And the question is, how wild an animal can you get that'll be fun? Versus for some people, they want a totally docile animal, but it becomes completely boring. And it's always the slightly wild animal that was the more fun.
Yeah, it's true.
When people are picking partners in life, they're thinking, someone's a bit wild, but I can still control a bit. So
Mhm.
it becomes a dynamic one. And that's why also in some of our early relationships, we have simpler relationships, which we grow out of because they're not interesting enough.
Yeah, that's true.
So you've realized there's a cartoon version of Kerry and Dave, or a few cartoon versions of them. You know, they make like a little series if you get a series. That's what I want to show you. Really experienced architect girl in the room where she actually plays at this. Yeah, it's got her table and her visualizer system on it. What's that like?
It's funny because I've seen those before. They're almost
I
like
know. We're
holograms.
going to take you back things, bit of familiarity, and now we want to take you a bit more into it.
Wait, while you were talking about that, I heard or saw or whatever that because I was asking why would they create a world like this?
Mhm.
And meaning the stuff, the material, not the not all the emotions. And they said, well, this isn't the real one. Like this is the manufactured one. And so that's why there's some sort of a connection between this being created, not organic, and that's why we wear dead stuff. We live
Mhm.
in dead stuff. That's why it is like when you go back, that's the real world. Real. I mean, and then but
Yes.
like don't get stuck on that
And
because there are many levels of that. Hmm?
we're in a lower synthetic kind of world
Yes.
where
Yeah.
everything around us, they keep on building stuff out of dead things. That's the
And
normal way to do it.
piling on. And what's interesting is I've had that thought in the last couple months. Like I wonder what the other worlds look like. And she's like, yeah, that's we're talking to you. This is, this is anyway, okay. So moving on. I just wanted to wrap that up.
No, it's good. It's good. You shake. That's a lovely question. You're getting a perspective, and also they're dropping the questions into your head. They're giving you a nudge. And what do you ask about this or ask about that? It's like they're presenting little things. It's like awakening you. So back to the visualizer. What's it like playing with a visualizer? And they're joking, saying, "Oh, well, do you translate that to a Monday morning or something like that?" What's it like playing with a visualizer?
You're calling it the visualizer?
Well, I'm calling it that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the system in which you can create stuff, set it up, and when it's all or the next module is ready, you can let your friends play with it. You can create another episode, and then your friends can also come and play with the whole thing.
That's a great way to say that. I mean, it's the video game, it's going back to the
Hmm.
video game concept. And no, she's like, no.
What does Kerry look like? Do you want to show you some representative examples?
Oh, I look too deep. I look too deep. It's like what you're right, like watching The Simpsons, but not
Not
exactly.
quite.
Almost, okay, what I just saw was almost like a line, like a drawing, almost
Yes.
like a when you see those shows or like online and they look like someone drew them and then they're
Yeah.
animated.
And then they animate a very simple drawing.
Yes, yes. And again, they're like, that's not exactly what it looks like, but that's how you're envision. I mean, like, that's who
Yeah.
you can draw on. Yeah. Oh, that's
Tell us
interesting.
about what we see when you look at sort of cartoon Kerry. What's it like? What does she behave like? I want to show you some of their take.
I just saw go, oh, drama, just the drama of it all. Yeah, very feely. Somebody dialed up the feel and somebody dialed up and that's the fun part. They're saying like that's the fun part. That's the creative part. But then the part that they're saying the part that's interesting is the part that is what I would consider bad, dark, whatever. That's the
Ah,
interesting part.
ha, ha, ha. That's it. That's
Did
what
I
we
get there?
wanted. Yeah, you wanted to show you that the bits we're avoiding here, because of our existing belief systems and fear of stuff, are the fun bits. That's where it gets really interesting. So if you don't know how to play with designing this, how would you ever make it more interesting than it is? If you can't make it more interesting, it reverts back to what it was, which would be the best interesting version until someone comes up with something that's an improvement upon it.
Oh,
That's why humans have trouble initially designing this. And that's why we said earlier, too, so if humans play with this, their first thing to do is try and smooth it out and make it more comfortable. Fair enough. At least
yeah.
it proves you can do something, but you've not necessarily made it interesting at that moment.
Well, they always say that. It's like, I'm bored, but it's better than not being bored.
Yeah.
It's better
Yeah.
than having
That's
chaos.
good, good. So let's have a look. So you've seen Kerry, and tell us about her cartoon home.
Pretty basic, pretty basic, but they have tiers. They have tiers of things like levels, and it's a nice level. It's in and out. There's a lot of energy in that house. Yeah, they do also see things in energy too.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's weird. It's like when you get your eyes done and they say level one, level two, A or
Hmm.
B. Like they have that. Like they can flip over and they can see just energy. They can
Yes.
flip over and they can see like this is how we design it, but then this is the energy, and then you can see the energy imprints. They can see energy imprints.
So yeah, you see the energy creates the solid-ish thing. They
Mhm.
also said, and what do you make of the David beam when you start looking at him? Sort of energy thing, and then it creates something solid. They want to show you the cartoon version of that, or the energy being that create can then create a cartoon version. What's that like?
Honestly, it it's like your shape, but it's tall, it's bigger, and it has like
Mhm.
sticks sticking out of the top of it, like antenna almost, but it's big.
It Yeah, it goes into other dimensions, and you can sort of see where it fades out of one dimension and seems to go into another.
But you're way more aware of the various users.
Mhm.
Um, where myself, other people, I'm
Now, for
maybe
a
not.
moment, you're freezing the Kerry being for a second into one user. Careful, unfreeze again, and realize when you saw the David being, now you should understand when you look at the Kerry being a bit better. They said if you saw it as David, then you'd be able to see the Kerry being and go, oh, this is pretty good too. That's all
I didn't know
right.
I could do that too.
There you go. There you go. You see, we just gave you an easy way of spotting it.
You feel like more of a like you have more tentacles, like you have more out, like you're working like you're feeding back and forth. I'm trying to just figure out what I'm
You're
saying.
just playing it. You're experimenting with it. You're seeing how it works and what it does.
Where a lot of people are like a dome, like they're
Oh,
not. There's nothing
careful.
going.
You're locking the breathing up to tell me that.
I wonder why.
You're
Maybe
having to slow up the flow for a moment to make that real reality.
okay. So there's something with most people. They look like little molehills, and they look capped off, like they look
Hmm.
almost like a dome that's part of the ground. And then there are people, and you're on the other end of that where you're very much open. It's like you
Yeah.
have a bunch of stuff going
It's like
up.
something like that that's landed in the ground.
Oh, I see that. I see that. That, and then I have little nubs. They're going, they're
Yeah.
starting, but
Yeah.
they're
And the ones that are look like the dome capped off is the one where the upper part of them has been obscured. It's to create an illusion where it just looks temporarily capped off.
hmm
And that's why you don't see it. We've created the illusion. Whereas in David, when you're looking, that's kind of obvious. All these energies, it comes down through the dimensions, ends up here and creates something down at a low level. But for the other ones, we create an illusion where they look like they're capped off. But
Yeah,
that's
so in the US, and you probably have them too, the pitches like with the ceiling that opens, the roof that opens.
yes.
Again, a lot of them used to not have the open roofs. They
Then
were
it
just,
turned out they're not capped off anymore. They can switch between states. You can
yeah,
open them and close them.
exactly. But I think yours is open most of the time. I mean, that's what I would assume. But
Well,
it's,
yeah, it's just open relatively more than some of the other ones. But
well,
it's still the same mechanisms. It's still the same system in operation.
yeah. Oh,
See,
that's interesting.
we're trying to say, you see, something could look better than another thing, only in relative terms.
Mhm.
It's someone like say, well, a better car is maybe the one that's getting driven more. Well, that's all, it's just getting used more. The other ones are all have that same capability.
Yes, yes, yes. They just have to open up.
Yes. So back to our subject of belief systems, because you've not seen belief systems energetically in this kind of context. You said hello to them earlier, saw them little sort of thought forms. And, oh, we got plenty of them.
Yeah.
And it turned out I energized them. All right, okay, that too. So,
So belief systems are just part of the deal. They're part of the game. I mean,
yes.
well, how would it be like if, what would it be like if you didn't have belief systems?
Mhm. You can ask the question and you'll see the answer, which is,
There's a vastness, like an openness. There's just an openness. It's almost like boundless.
there'd be a sort of boundless openness, but there wouldn't be much there. You remember we talked about molehills, so like all the molehills would go flat.
Yeah, and we also have talked about how the higher self, there's not a lot of personality there. The
That's
belief
it,
systems
yes.
create the personality,
Hmm.
but they have
And
to
then
be
and then we
less.
attach to that belief system. We say, that's me now. I'm looking at me. Now I can self-identify as this little belief system. It's me.
Yes, and it's also that's a that idea that we all kind of we link up with people with the same belief systems. That's an older, not older, that's a safety mechanism. I'm a this. I'm a that. That's
Yes,
the
make America great again.
yeah, exactly. But that's that shared identity versus
Mhm.
sharing this way versus sharing this way.
I was telling, by the way, a belief system about keeping things. Britain used to have an empire,
Mhm.
and in my family's parents, on both sides of the family, uh, they had people who were into some of the empire building. Like on my mother's side, my grandfather went off to administer large chunks of Burma.
Oh, wow.
And he'd go around there as a sort of frontier non-organized thing. And the strange thing, though, the local natives went along with the system because it actually brought a better system to that part of Burma. You had lots of little tribes who used to go and beat the crap out of each other on a regular basis. It was ethnic cleansing. You'd go into the neighboring village and you'd wipe them out.
Oh,
And people were always changing alliances and grouping, so a lot of deaths resulted. And then the British came in and said, stop fighting amongst yourselves. And they did that for a while, and then they said, now we know how to not fight amongst ourselves. We don't need you, British. We can run the old place ourselves. And then the British left. And when the British left, then they went back to fighting amongst themselves. But
wow.
and you see it in Africa and places like that. And that's how a colonial system worked for a while. But I was also noticing in uh, Kenya, where, for example, on my further side, his brother went out there to be a judge under the colonial system and then stayed on when it got independence for a while and was a judge in Kenya. And some of the native Kenyans said things like, well, you white people have got most of the land, but it was our country. We'd rather like our land back. And then they started to rebel. And then the British people said, well, you're not allowed to rebel. And then they started fighting with various rebels. And the British people who were being sort of good and we're not going to behave in a nasty way, they were in Kenya murdering and torturing and being really nasty to the locals who said, well, we think it's our land. So it's like different stories knocking around, and we could feel how we're sort of cringing up. And there it was, the British Empire thing, sort of all about peace and stuff, but it wanted to hang on to its old empire idea. And this country's our one because we found you couldn't run it, and now we took it over. So it's our country now, and we're going to tell you what to do.
Our way's
Now,
better.
we're going to run. How are these games control? Do you actually, when people are creating games, ask experienced architect girl about the creation of these games and worlds. Because you've just shown you an energy of telling people what to do. And we want you to contrast that to how these worlds are created.
Well, I don't know what it's called. Oh, I just saw Risk. I saw the board game Risk, and it is so I don't know if this is right, but it is a context for us to experience duality and for us to experience contrast. And
Yes.
so it's a context. I mean, it's a context, right? And um but they do something. I don't what I what I just saw was, yeah, we do, and there are people that basically gamble on, not gamble, but it is that they really love watching it. They love watching it because
How fond do we look to them? Put
oh,
it
we're
this way.
fine. I mean, it's
We,
like watching a football game for them,
it's
you
like,
know?
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Come
Because they
on.
know
And
there's no
what
death.
makes, carry on, what makes us interesting to watch? They, they want to give you a sense of what makes it interesting to watch us.
Well, A, they don't know exactly what we'll do, but they are so open that they know. I mean, like there are things that they can't experience.
Can they put a hand in and play with the
Oh,
characters?
yeah.
Now you that banged into the Kerry sense of identity. It just went, can someone stick a finger in and go whiz like that? And Kerry, who's doing that? Hang on a minute.
Well, no, really, honestly, what it did was it made me think, because in my mind, where they are, everybody is good, everybody is benevolent, everybody, but what I was seeing is that where I would view that from this perspective, looking at the hand as you're meddling, and maybe that's an entity or whatever, because that's how we translate it. But from their perspective, I don't know what their perspective is. I'll have to ask, but it's like this from this perspective, if somebody meddled, that's not a good thing, you know? Um,
It's like the colonial Africans or people in Burma or something like that. The people saying, "Who's meddling, running our country? We can
yeah,
manage ourselves really well," and that kind of thing.
or people here that say if you try to contact dead people, you may get an entity, a
Hmm.
poltergeist or whatever. And so we are known that if somebody interferes, that that's a bad thing. It's usually a bad,
Yeah.
So why would they find that interesting to interfere? Well, sometimes we need help. I mean, sometimes they
Well,
interfere in a
that's true. Now
benevolent
that's
way.
you're getting something here. You're going, aha,
Hmm.
why would they even come in and play with it? What are they up to?
I think I'm asking the bigger question, why any of it? It
Okay.
I just heard Westworld because they want to experience it.
Yeah.
Did you see that
And
movie?
when we've got the hatches open, can they experience it more?
Yes, very much so.
You talked about your iPhone and other communication device
Hmm.
back in the 1980s.
Yeah,
I was, I was teasing my family about some Audi car. In the 1980s, the Americans were building these land ships that they literally huge station wagons.
yeah.
And in Europe, they were also building station wagons, but they were a lot more compact. And some of them were extraordinarily fast.
Really? Station wagons?
Station wagon. Well, I now drive a station wagon that if you told its computer it was okay, it would do 200 miles an hour.
Wow.
It's officially limited to 175, but seeing as the English speed limit is firmly set at 70, it's difficult to imagine how I would ever go and find that one out. For sure, prove the point. And if I simply told the computer, I go for it, don't worry about the limits you've set to you, it would do about 200 miles an hour,
Yeah.
which is what you need to do the family shopping. So you can imagine cars are just a bit more compact and very safe. They wouldn't wobble on the roads. They've got systems that hold the suspension level that looks like a sort of NASCAR going around the track, really stuck to the ground. So they got all those systems. Although the Europeans were busy developing those, well, the Americans were busy developing these land ships. And then the Americans went over to SUV things, which are just sort of land ships that have grown upwards
Yes.
a
To
little
haul all of
bit.
our stuff.
Yeah, and now the Europeans are copying them a bit, and we're all starting to meet in the middle somewhere, except for those of us who still want to drive that massive car. Uh, what I was going back to was we were watching the Netflix thing, as we mentioned before, of what do you call it, the upside down world, Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And I was watching them trying to do a getaway from a scary monster in one of the land ships. And I thought, oh God, now if they'd had an Audi of the equivalent era, you'd have been over the horizon and no problem.
You'd be
It
out of
didn't
there.
waste if they'd gone, or a BMW or something like that. You'll get away. And it could have still taken everyone in it, which was that higher performance kind of vehicle that was available. So we're giving you the thought of what's the higher performance being that we're putting through into the Kerry being or offering the Kerry being, would you like to operate in it?
Oh, I would love that. Are you asking me? Because I would love that.
Yes. Can you feel now how the little lower spirit forms and the belief systems are quite okay with that? Earlier, they were looking a bit threatened. Now they're understanding it. Could you just talk through what we were explaining to the ego you're living through? Because we are having a little chat to it and explaining stuff to it.
Sorry. Well, before it was felt more like taking over and I didn't have the sovereignty, where now it feels like, come on in. You have a different
Come
perspective.
on.
You know, you can see things that I can't really see right now. Um, and it's also trusting that energy. It's trusting it that there's not Malvolence. Is that the word?
Yes.
Mal Malevolent.
Malevolent.
Thank you. Uh,
Malevolent.
Isn't that funny? I always can say that word. I don't know where that word, why I can't say that word. Yeah, I do. Yes, I like that. I like that idea. Which reminds me, have you seen Pluribus on Apple?
No, no, Paribus. That's missed out on that.
Did you ever see Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul?
Yes.
Same
Very
writer,
good, bad, very good.
same writers, and his Saul's girlfriend is the main character, and it's a hive mind.
Ah.
And so they're zombies, but and it's funny, and she's very grumpy, and there are only 11 people in the world that didn't join in this hive mind thing, but they're very happy people. Very happy, very much like an ant colony or a bee colony. Everybody's doing their
Mhm.
thing, and you have access to everybody's memories. And everybody, like, you can have a 5-year-old deliver a baby because he has access to it. And she's like, fuck you, no, I'm not doing this. And she's very angry about it. And so she's trying to save humanity from that. And it is, but everybody talks about the shift and how we're all one. And I've always said, I never want to be all one, ever, And I'm watching this, and my sons are like, she's so grumpy. I'm like, I would be doing the exact same thing. There's a sovereignty, and it's really interesting. So watch it
Send me
after
the
you're
link
done.
of the name when we're finished.
Okay.
Send that in so I can
I'm watching.
find that and tell them because they'll eventually run out of Stranger Things, which in a funny way is going to work its way through its own obvious climactic, noisy finish. Sometimes you lose a few of the characters on the way there, but you can you
Is
kind
that a
of get
heads
a
up? We're not watching it until Christmas because we've decided that they dropped the very last one, I think, New Year's Eve.
yeah. Well, you're going to binge it.
I guess so. I guess so. But that's Charles like, I don't want to have to wait between he loves the show.
Well,
And
don't worry. Well, they've watched the earlier one so many times. When I sit there, I kind of watch it too, but I grab my phone and I watch YouTube videos at the same time.
like my
And
children.
I'm reading the subtitles on the TV and I'm listening to something on the phone. And that keeps my attention span about happy. And I can move between the two. And occasionally then it all gets too much and I just fall asleep and I watch neither.
I just pass out.
It's,
That's funny.
but you can play back the YouTube video, and on Stranger Things, you can ask someone beside you, or you can kind of figure out what probably happened. You can reverse engineer what must have been in the script. It's not too complicated. So you can dive in and out of the two. And while we're talking about diving in and out, what's it like for our friends above who are climbing down through those tree branches as they start to become more solidified? What's it like for them dipping in and out of our existences?
Okay, let me ask. Hold on. Let me ask.
Or the
It's
things we're
actually kind
calling
of
our existences.
what's that? What?
Well, we're calling it that. I'm me. I'm me. They get, you're just sort of like being caretaker, bringing the visitors through, letting them play at the controls because they bring so many of the fun qualities in.
They it's not easy for them to sustain it. It's
Yeah.
dense, and that
That's another one. What helps them sustain it?
I just saw I just saw a coat. Um, it's a weight. There's some sort of a weight. And hold on, I'm asking what makes them sustain it. I mean, how are they able to stay? And they say they don't stay in here very long. I mean, they're not,
Yeah,
relatively speaking, they can't stay very long.
it's and
Um,
what happens when we breathe a bit more?
it lightens it up. I just saw like sparkle cells, and they get a little bit wider with a little bit more room in between. So
Ah,
a little less
sit it,
dense.
sit it. Every time you breathe properly, they can get a visit. And
Hmm.
if you take a second good breath, they can have a second visit. A third good breath, a third good visit.
But they're saying their visits for us, if it's just a second, it's not a second. Like our time is so different. And there's something about access to different groups at different levels of our evolution or of our age.
So they're dropping into different time periods.
Yeah.
There you go.
And there are people that are interested in this time period where other people there may have been interested in 1978 when Carrie was
There you
7.
go. Very good.
Yeah.
And what do they find fascinating about your particular one? They say, what's the fun and what would we like to play with it in it?
Well, it's so funny. I locked up because it's ego. Because of there's there's a lot of life that has just naturally being a part of this world has been lived, and I wanted to experience this vessel wanted to experience,
Mm,
but really why I'm here is coming. Like there's a
mm.
like there when we come in, we have two different you have like a micro and a macro, and you have two different purposes
And
almost.
what if you're letting a whole team of characters join the experience?
You get a lot more done. You can get a lot more done. I mean, meaning like soul work done, invisible stuff done, and you actually allow. Oh, there's something about the Carrie going, no, 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 no. I'm gonna do laundry. No, no, because if you come in, I can't do laundry. I'm not gonna want to do laundry. And then, but it is um that's the clinging to the belief. That's the clinging where if something's not defined and if there's an expansion and you don't know what it's expanding to, whatever that is, that that's where the beliefs start going from being happy happy to being
Well,
little stickers.
it's by the way, you see, you don't know where the expansion's going. Are they doing this as they know the results, or they're just running experiments and then they're steering things based on the results they're getting?
There's an overall there's an overall um there's an overall category that you are. I mean, sort of like
Yeah.
are to translate that like are you vegan or do you eat meat? You know, I mean,
Mhm.
and so those are two different, your menus are very different depending on what you eat, even though they're both food. And so so it is, I'm a type, you're a type, like we're a, we're made out of a certain, there's a little bit of a different ingredient with everybody. And
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of words to use, but it is steering, and
Yeah.
where we're steering does determine where we're going, but there are some places we're going to end up no matter what.
Yeah. So they've got a general trend to it, but there's quite an interesting adventure making it happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And how does the Kerry body feel when it allows more of our friends through into it right now? What's that feel like?
Well, I don't like it when you put your hand up. I mean, that I
Yes,
want to
just like
monkeying with
putting
it
the
like
gloves
mud.
on.
Yeah, exactly. Don't no. Um, I'm trusting my hair. I'm trusting it more.
Yeah.
I'm trusting that more. So I like that. I'm learning to like that.
We'd also try and say where they've got the molehill that's opened up and as now we've got a tree in its place, do they try and look after their trees?
Oh, yes, there is more attention to it.
Mhm,
It's like the non-player in a video game. You don't really have to do much
mhm,
with that. Where if you've got an active player, then your attention is there.
mhm.
Yeah.
Now we've tweaked the belief system. You see, we talked earlier about changing belief systems, and we've now given a demonstration how we've tweaked some belief systems.
Mhm.
Describe what have we now tweaked? Because if you look around you, the belief systems now surrounding the Kerry being, there have been a few little tweaks into this one with what we've been up to.
Well, I've learned I see our construct a little differently.
Hmm.
based on dead things.
You've seen yourself in Simpsons version.
I've seen myself in the Simpsons version. Um,
Right, by the way, they often run experiments and those sorts of versions, do a little sort of trial, and then plug it into these ones. And then things that happen in these ones are fed back into their further experiments. So little information and results is being fed from one module to another.
but the Carrie vehicle feels that it is needs to be doing more. Um,
It says that when it stops breathing.
it does. And there's a flow.
Can you just flow and see if that still applies?
I'm now able to see the little fear packages. The fear package popped up and it's like, yeah, but what if you don't get there?
What if you set off and you don't, what would
Yeah,
happen?
yeah. What if you don't get there? Um, I feel like I have to sit with this that there's so much now swimming around, and I just need to kind of just sit and breathe and just see
Well,
what
it's good.
pans
We just
out.
say, yeah, keep flowing. Try not to stall it too much, though.
Yeah,
Otherwise, when you stall it, you end up in the little fear packages for a while.
I've been in there for a while. Um, my poor husband. Yeah, poor guy. Yeah, there's this overall. Okay, so here's one. I have an overall, and clearly it's a belief, but I have this overall belief, and it's funny, it's gone. I
That's because the wife got on the other line.
is that what it is? Yeah, she's ready for you to come home.
Um,
There he goes. He's back,
sided
and
back.
boom.
Wife was going, where is he? Do I call him now? Do I call him and get knocked off the phone? Do I call him and try and talk to him? I feel it should be around now. I think there's something like a dog, waiting for dinner. Sometimes a dog looking, it's time to go for a walk or something.
Don't call her a dog. Don't call her a dog. No, I
Well, isn't it nice? He said, there's someone who's bothered in this world to even link up with the husband character, go and retrieve him from the playground.
hurry, Trim. Come on. For me, that's my whistle, my
There
loud.
was there was thing, by the way, talking about women trying to sort of form relationships with men, and someone saying they want to be mothered. These men, they seem to want to be mothered a lot of the time. And I think that's exactly right. A lot of these men had a great relationship with their mother. Most of the healthy ones had a good relationship with their moms, and they're hoping for the same thing off their wives. So yes, they will want that. If you can find out what nice food the moms cooked and the wives then cook it, there you go. That guy's not going to stray in a hurry. You're fencing him in already. What do they want? Bit of that company, some sex. They're not very complicated beings. You do those things, you get one of these men. And then what does a woman get out of it? Well, there's a whole lot of hard, crappy work that you won't have to do if you can just organize a man who'll do it for you and be happy. They'll go off and do all sorts of things and they'll look happy going off to do it every single day. And then that gives you space to do your things.
Okay, that you just answered it. That's what I couldn't remember, by the way. It was this overall belief that my sweet husband provides the stability for not I'm not talking about just money or just lifestyle. I'm talking about overall.
There's a load of stuff they
You
do.
know
Yeah.
what you're getting. I mean, like it is, he's not dramatic. That's me. And
Yeah.
then it is, but it frees me up to be able to go do these things.
Yes. It's a great
Like
system.
it
And
is,
everyone's happy.
it is a great system. Yeah. And so when you start feeling like I just want to go create drama, don't create drama. Go get busy doing something else. And I feel like I want to thank the team for coming in and talking to us and
Mhm.
meeting us. And I would like, can we have a conversation real quick about super fast? We won't make a big deal of this, but like bing, light bulb, that we can introduce these clips I'm about to put out. Like this is like you and I were working together and thought that some of this might be helpful.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, well, I guess we just probably
That,
did.
that's in principle. If you want any thoughts on which clips, we could certainly do that. But if you just start assembly thing, whatever makes you excited
Well,
at the time,
well, thank you. We have
because
like
these things live in the moment, and it's also you're creating stuff for people on similar journeys.
yeah. And what would the
Because
journey be? I mean, how would you define the journey for most of this, most of what we talk
it's
about?
like switching on a load of systems, and bit by bit, they're learning how to switch on the systems with some degree of control. It's rather like when I asked my insurance company if my son could drive my car. So he's driving the small little safe to learn to drive in one. I said, could he drive my one? The potential 200 miles an hour if you just took all the limits off the whole thing. And I said, like, how many dollars would this be? I'm sitting down, tell me. And the insurers went, no. No amount of dollars is worth that risk.
Oh, that's funny. So he's not allowed to drive your car. You can't
Not
get in.
allowed to drive my car until he's just sort of learned to control the systems on a site. So what's happening here is we've been given as much as we're allowed to play with. And
Okay.
as we get used to playing with the energies and work with it, built up a bit of good judgment, then we get allowed to drive things that are faster and faster.
Okay.
And that's where people are. They're going through a journey of learning how to work with the energies that have been given. The bodies are learning how to work with what they're being given.
Well, and what I have found is that knowing a bigger context, that's my brain always goes to but why, but why, but why. And so having a bigger context of not only how to make it work, but why would you want to make it work? And how would that affect the outcome? And how would that affect your life, kind of what you see around you? And you have a lot more control than you realize just by knowing how the system works.
Well, we've got a lovely example for you. Sometimes are challenged in what you can tell your lovely other half about what you like doing. You
Mhm.
run out of the words to do it. But if you share what you do with enough other people, enough of them will eventually talk to him and they'll explain it to him, and that'll save you a lot of the hassle. And they can do so in all kinds of nice stuff. And then afterwards, you can be appreciative and in wonder of his lovely wife.
There you go. No, that's you're exactly right. I can say it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, yeah, so I think we have something like 26 hours now of
Right.
stuff to pull from. And I'm always amazed at the fact that I don't know if you know this. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this before, but there are people out there that I am channeling Zatar or whatever. I am channeling this being, and this is what they say. You do that naturally, but you don't present it that way. You'll only time I ever really consciously hear it is when you say, Carrie, who do you think you're talking to? Like I'll think porpoise, and then a porpoise, you're like, oh yeah, but a porpoise. I'm like, how did you know that? You're like, you still think you're talking to David. You're not talking to David. And I love that. I mean, it is, I
Well,
have
it,
to remind
let's
myself.
say, well, see, sometimes if you've got an ego that says, I have to be this person and my job is to be the main channel for the entire world, and you'll have to sort of look at him and realize this is the main channel and you're not going to get the information anywhere else. That's the result you get.
Yeah.
But we're playing a different game, which is okay, we can channel this stuff through. And the idea is to get the little molehills to all open up.
Hmm. Hmm.
And at that point, we're not saying, oh, here's the main one. We're saying, no, no, there's lots of them. Here's how it works. We'll show you the system. So we're sharing it out. And
Oh,
that then you're operating from a different kind of belief system. And that's why you get that different effect.
well, yes. And also what you're doing is you're highlighting each time we talk, you highlight a different aspect of the system.
Yes.
And that has been really interesting. There's so many times when I feel like your Mr. Miyagi is like wax on, wax off. Yes, we're talking about cars. Oh, this is how it relates. Okay, I get it. I get it. Now my brain can put that somewhere that it recognizes. Um, okay, perfect. I think we got it. Oh, by the way, you know what I think I'm gonna get? You know what my next pet is?
No, what's go on? Show me. I've not been saved, so you can tell me. Go on.
Octopus.
Octopus. Oh, wow. That is lovely.
Hmm.
A
I found like
being that could change shape and change its skin color and do all sorts of amazing stuff.
they have DNA that they don't know where it's from, and apparently they do get really attached to one person. And I mean, it's wild. And they're $100. That's it. Isn't that crazy? And but you have to play with them every day because they get bored and they need stimulation. They're super smart. And so yeah. So well, I mean, I'm
Oh,
not doing
are
it
you
right
saying
now.
you'd put an octopus in a tank
Yeah.
somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, but it's in a tank anywhere. I was actually trying to find one at a Korean or a Chinese restaurant to save it. I mean, that's what I would do. Not eat it.
what was it?
I won't eat
It's
them.
well, that's like going to the dog shelter. You're actually saving them from death. It's like the carving knife is
Literally.
ready in another room.
Yeah,
You say, I'll have that one, but I'm not going to eat him.
I'm taking him home
Give
with me.
give me a waterproof doggy bag or whatever.
A little fish bowl. Thank
But
you.
I just thought, how big a tank would an octopus like?
Well, it depends on what type, but they like rocks. They hide in the rocks. And I mean, you can have a tank that's 3 by 4 foot. I mean, it's they're not very big because they don't like a lot of space. But what got it, I was watching this. Pull it up on YouTube. It's really cool. They have ones where they teach them how to play piano under the water. They have like when you feed them, they really love crabs. You can put the
Mm,
crabs in a container and they have to figure out how to open it.
yeah.
But you give them a lot of games. I mean, that's why I'm not getting one right now. I mean, I did all the
They're
research,
they're
but
very smart characters. They even like to be able to turn off the lights at night. And that was a problem in an aquarium one day. They had various fish and octopuses. And in your house, you have miniature circuit breakers that turn off the electricity. And they found every night the electrical system for the lights and the air pumps on the tanks to keep the oxygen closed was always getting shorted out. And it was what's going on. So someone had to stay there and watch what was happening. And eventually the culprit was the octopus. And the octopus, they can squirt water. When it thought it was lights out time, squirted water at the light fitting until it shorted out the electrical system. And then, get a bit of rest now. So that was the
wow.
octopus shorting out the electricity every night.
Oh my gosh, that's a whole other thing. My favorite, you have to have a lock on the tank because they get out at night and they'll roam around. And there, a couple times they've documented them getting out and going down the drain. Like they figure out how to get out, and or there are two tanks next to each other, and they would get out, go
Go
over, eat the fish, go back, put the lid back on. I mean, they're very smart. And the night the day that I decided I wanted to do this, we went out with some friends and we were going to a play and we are at a bar beforehand, just, having like a dinner, like a little dinner thing. And they're like, how about calamari? I'm like, no. Well, anyway, I can't eat octopus. I mean, and I realize calamari is probably squid, but I just can't eat them. I mean, it's like eating, you know, a smart being.
your cat or something.
Yeah, well, my cat probably isn't as smart. This guy's not very smart. His processing speed is very low. He's probably very smart, but his processing speed is not keeping up. But
No, they just pretend because they don't want to act subservient to you.
no, not this one. He's more of a dog. Now, girl kitty, that's his sister is that way. Recently, he's always slept with us, and recently, every time I come downstairs, not every time, but a lot, he is at the bottom of the stairs facing the wall, like his face is resting on the wall. And I don't know. I think he has dementia or something. He's just not, you know, she's
Yeah.
getting more loving. She used to have staff, not, she was,
Yeah.
anyway. All right. I hear your wife. So,
Yes, you heard it. I heard it
heard
at the
it.
same moment. We know go.
All
Is
right.
Monday good next week? There we go.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
We'll resume then. See you
Okay.
soon. Bye bye.